What is a designated student athlete? What does it mean for the West Virginia Mountaineers? We have at least 12 that I can count that we can lose to the transfer portal. We're going to talk about that next on episode of Locked On West Virginia.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day, whatever you want to call it, wherever you may live. But I appreciate you guys for being here for this episode of Locked On West Virginia, brought to you by FanDuel, or actually Game Time on this episode of Locked On West Virginia Game Time. If you're talking about Game Time, we're doing it big this month. Right now, you can get $20 off your first purchase of Game Time, but you have to download the app before you do so. And thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day. So we got some word about the House settlement and different things playing out with it. One of the newer things that we've heard recently about is designated student athletes and what that means. We're going to get into that because it means West Virginia can lose up to 12 players that I can count, and possibly more, but I'm thinking 12. I'll explain why here in a minute. To the transfer portal, and we'll get there. We'll talk about it. Also, Amir Jenkins, I've been highly requested. 15 people have wanted to see more Amir Jenkins, so we're going to look at Amir Jenkins, one of our newest signees from high school ranks, which is just a big signing for basketball. And that's it. That's what we got on tap for 4th of July. Not a whole bunch, but, you know, this is a scenario that could impact the team in big ways. It could be small ways, either or. But let's get into the topic at hand, because I think it'll start to become a lot more clear when we explain what is going on. So, what is a designated student athlete? A designated student athlete is players who were eligible to play in the 24-25 season, so they were on the roster and able to practice and compete. They were assured of a roster spot for the 25-26 season before the House settlement was finalized, which was in June. But then turned around and lost their roster spot due to new roster caps, like the 105 players for football introduced by the settlement. These players are typically fringe players in some cases, or, like I'm going to speculate, could also be some players that maybe are unhappy, and this could be a reason to get them out and bring other players in. There's a bunch of different ways this could go, but typically these are going to be your more fringe players, non-scholarship athletes or walk-ons. But it could also be maybe you've got a guy that's second string that doesn't want to play. Maybe you can have him made a designated. I don't know how this works. So what I'm going to do is try to identify some guys I think could be that distinction. It's going to be hard. I'm probably going to hurt some feelings along the way. I could even land on a couple guys that are nowhere near this distinction because walk-ons aren't specified anymore, right? So it's kind of hard to understand what's what here. So do they have to leave is another question I think it's important that we need to answer. And the answer is no, they don't have to leave. So West Virginia can actually operate above the 105 player cap limit, which is pretty interesting because of the grandfathering rule. So they're allowed to remain with their current team without counting against the 105 cap. Like if it was Nate Flower or Raymond Kovaleski, just naming two guys, they're a designated student athlete, they can stay on West Virginia's roster for the 25-26 season. And West Virginia can still field the 105 players and effectively having a 105 player roster. So, obviously then this happens July 7th through August 5th is when this is going to be happening. So over the course in 3 days, over the course of the next month, we'll see this happen. And I don't know how you figure this out, because I think, sure, there are guys on the team that you would consider non-scholarship, or if everything's are normal, but all we have is this 117 player lump of players, and so it's kind of up to us to try to fill in the blanks and see who I think is who, right? And it's not that easy. I went through, I got 12 players. I don't know if I got the right 12. Hell, I might not even have half of them, but because I mean, I think this is open to interpretation. You could probably make anybody a non-scholarship player at some point. Like it's possible to take somebody off the books, put them on the books. So I don't know if there are time limits or if they're already on the books, can you take them back off the books again, or is this only exists for a period of time? That they're talking about. Like, there's a bunch of questions I don't know the answers to exactly. But I think at the end of the day, West Virginia has 117 players. They're 12 over the cap. So there are some conclusions we can draw with that in a West Virginia specific context, because I've got 12 players I listed here that are probably likely walk-ons or low depth chart players. So we're talking about freshmen, red shirts, special teams contributors that would be specifically DSA candidates. I don't know, if they're going to leave or not. That's another question. Like I said, I have no idea if they're actually going to do it. If they're just going to stick around. I'm sure they're being compensated in some fashion. So I'll give you guys my list of players. And I just want to say, I hope I don't offend anybody, because I'm just taking a swing at this. I don't want to, upset anyone, because I'm not saying that you're less than because you're on this list. I'm saying you're in a position from my vantage point on the roster where maybe you're not going to play right away. Doesn't mean you're not a good player. So I'm going to start with quarterback Scott Keene. I think obviously he's been around a minute, but I think he's a walk-on, type player with minimal. He's going to play minimal snaps, and he's not going to play any, most likely, unless if Scott Keene's playing this year, we're in trouble. So, I'd say he's probably a DSA, but also he could be a scout team guy, and maybe they're paying him to do that. But he'd be my first guy to pick. The second one I would pick would probably be Clay Ash, because he's so far buried on the running back depth chart. This has nothing to do with my views on his ability. Honest to God. Like, if I brought up Clay Ash's tape for you right now, you could be impressed with it. He's definitely a good player. I just think that there are guys that are being paid more and also that have some precedent. You've got Sincere Bowers that's got a lot of momentum after his 4.35 performance in the 40. So while he's probably a DSA, and we know Clay Ash is in that, I don't know if he's a walk-on. I think he had a scholarship, but I would probably put Clay right there. He's at least fourth, right, on the depth chart. And maybe I'm wrong on that, and I would be happy to be wrong on that. But I would say that's, if I'm going to make me, because I'm having to make hard choices here, he would probably be somebody that I would consider. But it's not because of his talent. I want to keep saying that. Cannon Katzer, Clay Ash, they're both good players. I love them both. But like, if you're going to make me between Jaheim White, Sincere Bowers, Trey, Edwards, it's just going to be hard for me. So Camden Pitchford is a freshman wide receiver that we just signed, actually, who I think, some of this is, and this is maybe an overreaction, but he ran a 4.840 the other day. It's pretty slow for a wide receiver. I don't know. It's not everything now. I mean, you look at his tape, he can run routes. He definitely can do that. And I don't know if he had a bad day. He could be nicked up or injured or anything. But I think he's a guy. I got a cat jumping on here. Yep, I do. Okay. I think he's a guy you look at as somebody that may be on that list. Colin McBee, who I really love. I think he's a great player. I think he all these guys, I'm not trying to oversell that they're, because I think all these guys can help the team, right? I don't mean to keep going into these things about it, but obviously I remember Colin McBee. He's laid the wood a couple times. We've seen that in on the field. So I just think he's a guy that there are players in front of him, though. Andreas Hunter is another freshman, likely that could be a DSA player. He's obviously depth on the O-line. Raymond Kovalevsky is another redshirt offensive lineman that I don't know where he stands, along with Griffin Fogel, another redshirt offensive lineman who fits that profile. Carter Zuliani is a freshman defensive walk-on, or not a walk-on, defensive end, who, huge, got a big wingspan, 6'7", I think he was. I think he was a tight end / defensive end in high school. And I've watched his tape, and I've commented on him in the past, and people have come to his defense. To be fair, matter of fact, while we got a minute, because I gotta make this an entire show, and I don't know outside of the other tapes that I have, I kind of want to look at this because, okay, we're gonna look at Carter Zuliani really quick because I want to kind of defend some of these a little bit just to see what you guys think. We're just going to play some tape. Well, maybe not right here. Here's the Huddle profile. So we'll go there now. We'll go to Huddle. We'll go over here to Huddle, and we'll look at the Carter Zuliani thing, and I'll kind of give you guys my perspective on why I think that he could be on that list. And no offense to anybody, I just think that Zuliani is a more developmental player. He's one of the players I have on the list, and I could do this for all of them, but I think he's a good example in my opinion. So we'll go through here. We'll click on this. As you can see, 6'6", 240 pounds, an enormous frame. Hold on, let's go back. So, like, you could sell me on him for sure. Absolutely, you can. First team All-State, 3-time All-Conference, 4.8 40, 30-inch vertical. All that sounds pretty good. But whenever I look at him on tape, it's we'll just see. Oops. Here he is at defensive end. Nice play. Nice play. Once again on the outside, defensive end. This is the positional play for West Virginia. Oh, no, he was at tight end. My apologies. Back at tight end again. Here he is running out. So as you can see, he's definitely not he's not a receiving tight end, that's for sure, right? Like he's definitely a slower guy when it comes to tight end spot. He's a big guy. Definitely got a lot of, this is the same play as before. He's definitely a big guy that has a ton of length and some athleticism. But I mean, just generally, he's not going to blow your doors off with a ton of speed. He's a big target. I think he can move a little. Obviously, plays like that are plays that he would probably be best used for. Obviously, he's a blocker, ton of potential there. But like I said, if you're making me go through this entire roster and pick 12 guys, I think this guy's probably going to be on my list. His entire highlight tape is him at tight end. It's just about. So, and he's playing defensive end. So what's that tell you? I don't know. I would like to see more defensive end stuff from him, but there's just not a lot of it. A lot of this is just this. He's got such a big frame at 6'6", 240 pounds that who knows maybe they feel like inside 2 years in the weight room, maybe he'd become an absolute monster. And that, absolutely that's possible. Now you look at plays like that gives you some hope, right? You get a play like this out of him where he's making swimming over the top. Yes, that looks great. Now I'll take that for sure. But he's going to have to gain 30 or 40 pounds to be able to do it. This is the same play or similar play. Wow, what a heck of a play that was. Did he score the touchdown? He sure did. Wow. Here he is again on defense. So, he's got some potential on defense, I think, compared to offense. Because whenever we first signed him, I thought he was going to be a tight end, and I just was not impressed. But his defensive tape is better. But I still think if you're making me pick, he would be a guy that I would probably have on the chopping block as far as. And I'm like I said, these kids don't have to go as far as I understand. So chopping block's a terrible way for me to even put that because he's not on the chopping block at all, not at all. So And I mean, like I said, anytime I hate to even be negative at all. I really do. You guys know I do. Like I don't, I get talked. A lot of people will talk crap about me because I get on here and I I'm too positive, right? But I mean, this is a play here, right? Like, first of all, he's 6'6", 240 pounds, right? Look at the player he's going against. This kid he's going against I mean, he looks like he should be playing. Hold on. Listen, we all know West Virginia football, not the best football, right? But I mean, this right tackle, I mean, what is he, 6 feet tall, maybe? So, like the talent he's going against here isn't great. And you see he still struggles to get around the edge of this player here. So that's what I'm saying. Like overall, like he just doesn't blow me away. But that doesn't mean he couldn't turn into a good inside play. Like I don't see him as a pass rusher at all, right? So anyway, I'm not going to sit here and bash this kid for 20 minutes, but he's, players like this are the kind of players like I went through and watched all the film on all these guys. Everybody that's on this list to me is somebody that, is on that cusp. Somebody says the portal will not negatively affect West Virginia because players that have already have spots can't leave because they won't be able to have that same roster spot on another team. Right. I've kind of got to some of that already, Charles, but thank you. Obviously Zuliani's one. Jackson Beiser, I think, is one. Obviously, I don't know if I don't know. His brother's on the team, so maybe that plays a factor in him staying or going. But obviously, he's a redshirt defensive end freshman. Chris Filippo, who I didn't think was going to come in the first place, he ended up coming. Is a freshman safety that would probably be of that DSA distinction or one of the players like that. Nate Flower and Ethan Head are the 12 guys I have on the list. And these are just examples more than anything. Don't take any of these to the bank, but I'm just saying that there are 12 potential, guys that are going to have this distinction, and whoever they end up being is who they end up being. And I guess we just have to keep our eyes peeled. But, at the end of the day, I think this is probably going to be something that doesn't impact West Virginia a lot, except for practice, numbers, different things like that. Rich Rodriguez didn't want to get rid of these guys. He griped about it all off season. So, I mean, it's important to him, especially. And look, some of these kids, I mean, you look at some of these kids in 3 years, they could be really good football players. Carter Zuliani in 3 years could be an excellent football player. He's got enough athleticism to be a really good inside player, in my opinion. Not on the edge pass rusher, but like if you're telling me he could be like as my cat's jumping up here, Julian Miller or something like that, I could believe that. Somebody like that, maybe not as good as Julian Miller, but a big, long defensive end that can run. Like I believe he could probably do something like that. All right, let's go to break. On the other side of there, what we'll do is my cat's going crazy on me here. Amir Jenkins is a kid that a lot of people have wanted to see more of. We showed just a small sample of him the other day on the show. Well, we're going to show you more. We'll watch more Amir Jenkins, talk about basketball, because I feel like I've ignored basketball a lot here lately just because there hasn't been a lot going on. Well, we're going to talk about it today on the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to you and yours, and we'll be right back. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by Game Time. And look, we talked about it earlier. Game Time is doing it big this offseason when it comes to looking at it. When you say, look, if you're logging on early and you're waiting forever for tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see, live music shouldn't be that hard. It should be about making memories and not dealing with the stresses of ticket shopping. And that's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever because prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime. And look, you can save up to 60% off with their last minute killer deals. If you're tired of endless scrolling and trying to find the best deal, Game Time's Zone Deals pick has the best seats for you in your section for you. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets today with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. The terms are going to apply, but create this account, redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off today, and download the Game Time app where you get last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed, and an answer to the question of questions. What time is it? It's game time. All right, segment 2. Let's crack open a body armor. That's fine. I'm off the dew, by the way, for a while until I can lose some weight. So I know body armor is not exactly healthy, but it's definitely not Mountain Dew either. It's got coconut water in it. I like it. It's something that I can stand. You know, when you drink pop for so long like I have, it's tough, man. It's as hard to come off of as anything else almost outside of, obviously, a lot of you guys know I'm in recovery outside of that. But, you know, I dropped cigarettes years ago, all that stuff. But I'll tell you what, soda, man, is gripping. It's got a grip on me. All right. So Amir Jenkins, we know him, we love him. Obviously, we think he's going to be an excellent player for West Virginia. But it was brought to my attention that maybe I didn't show enough clips of him. So I thought, okay, well, and I mean, I asked a few people around, and there are a lot of people, they want to see more Amir. More Amir. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to check out Amir and just have some fun, you know, comment on some of the stuff that he does. And I'll be honest, even I haven't seen all this. So, I mean, and I don't know how far some of these go back. I mean, this is from 2021, guys. So, I mean, he's got to be young here, but let's see his progression over the years. I think that could be fun. You know, he continues to grow and get bigger as well. Hold on. So let's see if, put your scout hat on here. Look at Amir Jenkins in 2021 and ask yourself honestly, would I have saw that he turned into a 4-star player, because he wasn't ranked at this point in time in 2021, obviously. That's 4 years ago. I mean, this has got to be, he was really young here. So let's see what he looked like. What he play? I think you can definitely see some talent there, right? Definitely some talent there. At that age, yeah. What I think top 100 player, not necessarily, no. But I would say that I could see some definitely ability. What, this is middle school ball probably? So, you know, I think it's impressive in its own right just because he's so young. I don't like stuff like this. So, I'm assuming it's him with the ball here, or what's going on? No, yeah, that's him with the ball. Okay. Trying to figure out what's going on there. This is some old school stuff here. So that's him with the ball there too. He's shooting the ball. Okay. So yeah, he was young, man. Obviously, he's grown up a lot since then. But I mean, he's definitely got some of them same skills, I would say. Although he's obviously grown into a much better athlete by now. So like if you move up to, like, when is this? This is 2 years later in 2023. So he's probably a freshman in high school right here, somewhere in there. And you can start to see maybe a little bit more development, a little bit more ability, definitely a softer toucher on the rim already. And that, you know, that's that calmness you see in his game that makes him so good. I think this, above all things, that I like about him is, you know, he just doesn't get fed up. One thing I was in school, because I was so afraid, I didn't have any leash. So just a small short story about me. So, um, I played in a church league that was better than my high school basketball league. That is no exaggeration. I played at Christ Temple Church in Huntington, West Virginia, and the church was 2,000 people. And so, and everybody, and we had a huge youth group, almost 1,000 people in the youth group. So, when it came to the church league, it was very competitive, as good as any high school ball I played against. So, or if not better, in a lot of cases, we had several college players that played, and and I would go in there, and sometimes I would have 20, 30 points in a game. And then I would get to my more structured high school because we didn't really run a ton of offense, right? It was more, we're just playing, we're just hooping. We didn't run base, or we didn't run any offense. And we had a very antiquated offense at the school I went to, and over back in Southern Ohio when I was my high school years. I went to West Virginia all the way up through junior high, but for high school, my family and I moved here to Southern Ohio. So, and we ran this really antiquated offense where, it was basically a base offense. It was motion oriented, setting a bunch of screens. Like the first play was, it would call block to block. I would have to go set a screen for which, if the ball came to my side, I would vacate, go set a screen for the other big, who would flash. If the ball wasn't there for him, the ball would kick back over. I would have to flash up to the high post. If the ball didn't come to me, then I would come back down and set another screen for the big again. He would flash, and this was all it was about, right? It was just constant that, and I just wasn't. It didn't work for me as a player, obviously. But not only that, it was just a really bad offense. I just didn't work very well. I mean, we're talking probably at least 80s level, probably pre-shot clock era, some of it. I think I go back and look at it, but so I wasn't catching on, let's say, as quickly, but I did end up making an impact. But my dad got into it with the coach, physically, altercation over me. And it was super embarrassing, obviously, and I probably should have left and went to a different school, but that conversation never even came up with my dad. It was just they got into it in the office, and I kept playing on the team. I don't know, but um, it was a wild time in my life for sure, and I definitely um had some rough times. But at the end of the day, man, I know what it's like to be um maybe a little bit stunted because of a coach and afraid. I was making a point about being sped up, and the point about all that is I played sped up all the time because I had such a short leash because of my coach. Like I couldn't never just make a mistake. I knew I was coming right out. In one specific game, and then I'll stop talking about it. I scored 8 points on the first four possessions and had one turnover. And as soon as I had the turnover, I was out for the next two quarters. Yeah, and sometimes, and you don't like to think that favoritism comes into play, but it did. And unfortunately, that's the truth. I would dominate this kid in practice. It was very frustrating for me. If I had it to do over, I would have transferred. I had other coaches trying to get me. I just, for whatever reason, I didn't. I was too loyal to my school at the time and my friends. So, anyways, Sincere doesn't play like that, right? Like, if he was me right here, if this was me, like, there's no way I would do anything like that. It would be going crazy, man. I would just never have played with this kind of, and he's what, 16 here? Pretty crazy, man. Pretty crazy. We go back to his jump shot again one more time. Something I was noticing is, I mean, I'm not kidding you when I say I don't know why he shot. I don't know why he shot 29% from the field. It's got to be repetition. He probably didn't shoot a bunch of threes anyway. I'm guessing. His game is get to the paint, go to the basket, that kind of thing anyway. But I mean, if you look from a form perspective, I don't know what that finger's doing right there necessarily. I mean, that should be straightened out. But I mean, overall, hands in the right place. This hand's in the right place. I mean, is his elbow poked out a little bit? And this elbow, yeah, I guess. But not everybody keeps it at a perfect L shape anyway. Plenty of guys have the elbow sticking out a little. Um, I just when you look at his shot and then you look at the release point on the shot, it's great. So I don't, and this is early on. It's even better now. It's actually that's a really smooth shot there. But yeah, Amir let's look at this one. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much about his shot that you can project it. Like, there's no way this kid doesn't have a chance to be 35, 40 point, 35, 36% from three. So obviously this is 2024 now. So we've fast forwarded 2 more years in his career, and you can see the full culmination of what he's become. First play, you see it, right? This is him, number 2. And you see the athletic ability has now arrived for him. I mean, that's pretty good right there. Is he above the rim kind of player? Not necessarily above the rim, but does he have that Javon Small level? Yeah, I think he does. Like athletic, because Javon's not really banging his head off the rim either. He's a little bit better of a leaper than this, though, but maybe not in high school. But he plays at such a great pace, never gets sped up. And I've read so many articles on this kid and what people talk. Like, I'm telling you, this kid is so well thought of around the country. To the point to where I honestly believe had we not reclassified him, we would have had very little chance at him. Unless there's some kind of personal relationship I don't know about. And maybe that's developed. Because sometimes sometimes when you get players like at West Virginia that we're not supposed to get, a lot of times it's because of a relationship or a personal relationship or something along those lines, like a Nico Marchiol and Neil Brown kind of had it first, or even a Garrett Green and Neil Brown. Like, although Garrett Green's he was a 3-star player. Nico was everybody wanted Nico. So when we got him, we obviously all celebrated. It was a huge recruiting win. So, a lot of times relationships can come into play. With this kid here, I don't know the story. I'm trying to find out. But I think at the end of the day, man, we are lucky because if we allowed him to take this summer and then go play next year, I truly believe he would have been as close. I think he could have approached 5-star status had he played another year. I just think he's that good. So I don't know if he would have quite made it there. I think he's just maybe a notch below, but because of his size, if he grows, because there's another thing, he's reclassifying. So that means he's old enough at 17 to do this, but he could very well grow another 3 or 4 inches. Like, this happens a lot. So, and sometimes it's a curse because they take time to get used to their new body, because it's grown a few inches. Anthony Davis is the most famous, the most famous one. I think, what did he grow? I'll have to go look. I think it was at least 6 inches or 7 inches once he got to Kentucky or something like that. I can't remember, or maybe it was right before, and then he got recruited because of that. I'm trying to remember, but obviously we know he grew a ton in one summer. So, Amir is at 6'2" now, so he's good size positionally for a point guard. But I mean, if you get him up to 6'4", he's a 5-star player. It's over, so the measurables matter. Yeah. But one thing I do know about him is I don't know if he'll start right away for us, but by the end of the 2025-2026 season, I promise you he will be playing starters minutes. Now, will he start every game or will he come off the bench? I don't know. But he'll be playing starters minutes by the end of the year. I believe that heavily. He's too talented. He's too good. the Worcester Player of the Year in this conference as well for in the NEPSAC Double A Player of the Year, which is pretty cool. But like you look at this offer list, it was already starting to get pretty extensive. Maryland, Xavier, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, Mississippi State, Boston College, Arizona State, Wake Forest, East Carolina, Georgia, South Florida, and West by God. But at the end of the day, we got him, and that's all we can be. I mean, we have to all be so grateful for that because I think overall you can say in a 1 year vacuum, sure, I would say that. Um, and I still don't know what's going to happen, obviously. But Arturo Dean from Oklahoma State, sure, he would have been a great get for us, great get. Um, but in a 1 year vacuum, maybe he's a little better. But if you're giving me overall, I'll take this kid every day. Nice dunk. He just needs some meat on his bones. Like that's going to be one thing you look at. He already plays stronger than he looks, much stronger than he looks actually. Like you go back to, I'll show it one more time. Let's go back to the search bar and just type in Amir Jenkins. It should come right up. So if you look at this is from July 1st. So I would like to watch all these, to be honest with you. But let's see. Is this the one? No. Let's see. It's around here somewhere. Here it is. I've shown this one twice already, but I love it. I think this kid did a great video. I'm pretty sure he is a famous content creator because I see him do these little clips on basketball players all the time. They go viral. And this kid here at Overtime does a great job breaking down players. And this really opened my eyes to Amir. I just love this little clip of Amir talking about his back to the basket game. Because if you watch any full game with Amir, this was a huge part of their offense. They give it to him on the block all the time. And I truly believe, like, if he's 6'5", 6'6", God, could you imagine? At 6'2", he's still going to be a problem.
This Hooper's the type of Hooper that real Hoopers appreciate. Amir Jenkins is a 6'2" junior guard from Worcester, Massachusetts, and his game's the perfect blend of old and new. His footwork and back-to-the-basket game is elite, opening up mid-range J's, kickouts to his shooters, and letting him step through or spin his way to tough finishes at the rim. He's not afraid to attack you off the dribble either, using his craft to get a bucket himself or to collapse defenses and create looks for his teammates like a true point guard. Last but not least, Amir's defensive instincts are at a high level, making it clear why in Worcester his nickname's the Wolf. He's been catching scouts' attention this spring, and if he keeps playing the way he's been playing, he'll just keep on rising. This Hooper's the type of Hooper.
That's a pretty good, succinct way to put it. So very impressed with Amir, obviously. And guys, make sure you like the video if you can. Happy 4th of July to you and yours. Just wanted to get on here and do a quick stream today. To keep up our 7 days a week thing if we can. Hope everybody's having a good one. So don't have a lot to say, obviously. Else, there's not much news. Obviously, we got Big 12 Media Days coming up in a couple of days. And then I think a lot of you guys know I travel to Utah I think I leave the 14th. I'll be there on the 17th, I believe. I have to go look. Let me see. I think I've got the thing right here. But yeah, I'll be going to Utah. And I got more yesterday, guys, on exactly what I'm going to be doing there. We've got some really cool stuff coming for you guys. So they have really just put, okay, so yeah, there it is. My little hand-drawn thing. That's my itinerary for the trip up to Utah. So leaving July 14th, get there on July 17th. We're leaving on the 20th. So, as of right now, everything we have is everything from chocolate tasting to a Sundance Film Festival to what else is there? Ski lift up to 10,000 feet up a mountain. There's that part of it. Then there's the part of it where I get to go look at BYU's ESPN's, not ESPN, but their BYU TV studio, which ESPN uses. So it's like really high quality. And then Kalani Sitake, the football team, I'm going to get to see and hang out with and interview. We're still trying to verify if Coach Sitake is going to be able to do this still. I made sure as of yesterday. As far as I understand, they're, the tourism group in Provo are big donors and supporters and boosters of the program. And so I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get that, if not at least 10 minutes of his time. So, this is a really cool thing for me. Like, I haven't got a chance to do anything like this. And it's crazy. This platform has opened it up for me. So plan is I'm going to get a camera. I'm going to document the entire trip like an IRL stream would. So maybe like with a GoPro, or I'm not sure exactly what yet, but what we're going to do is, I'm just going to film the document the trip up. I'm going to document the airport, document a lot of things for you guys to see in case you ever want to go up there and watch a game. The experience of everything Provo has to offer locally, and then hopefully get some interviews with the staff and players. So that's the plan. It's going to be a fun trip. It's going to be a lot for me, based on how some of my anxiety has been lately and stuff. But I ain't no way I'm going to let that prevent me from doing this. It's just not going to happen. If I go up there and have some kind of breakdown, then I do. But other than that, I'm not going to let it stop me, and I don't think you would either. I got us to continue to be a beacon of light for people that have come from addiction, and show where you can go with it if you really put your mind to it. That's like, I love doing this channel. I love doing this work. But at the end of the day, this is exactly what a big part of me is doing this for, is to show that. Which is why I have one more announcement. I'm starting another channel. It's not going to be sports related. It's going to be with my friend Olivia, who is an ex-girlfriend of mine. She is in recovery as well. And so, I'm really excited about it. She is a very beautiful girl. She's 3 years clean herself, and we're going to start a channel together about our experiences. We met, I want to say 8 years ago in a rehab facility. And then have just been, we've met up at different points in our lives since then. We've always been in each other's lives from one way or another, but she's one of the most amazing success stories you can have, because what girls go through in addiction is much different than what guys go through. It's just way different. So we're going to get both perspectives. And I would hope that some of you guys come over there and see that channel. I'm trying to get we're putting everything together as to how it's going to be formatted and everything. Not exactly sure about that part yet, but I think I have the tools to make it successful, and not doing it. Obviously, monetary gain is in the equation, but it's definitely not at the top of the list. So, at the end of the day, we just want to reach a bunch of people with it. And I think having her involved is going to help me do that, because number one, she's very, very well spoken. She's a very attractive girl. And what she's come from is like, it's pretty wild, man. It rivals some of the stuff I'm going to have to talk about. So, a lot on the plate, but we're going to try to make an impact on this world one way or the other, because all this here out in the cloud is forever. So if we can do that, I'll be happy about my place in this world. All right. Be back later tonight or tomorrow. You never know. I always may do a bonus stream. It just depends on what information comes out. If anything, on the 4th of July, I wouldn't expect much. All my family's on vacation, so I'm alone today, but it's okay. I like it like that. I'll go play some video games. I made some chili yesterday. Best chili I've ever made. I made it with steak. Oh my God. you've never had steak chili, you're missing out, man. Just do what you normally do, but get a nice cut of either get some beef tips that are pre-cut and just cook them for hours. I cooked them for 6 hours. Oh my God. I'll probably never do it another way. I mean, I spent like $60 on steaks to put in it, but it was worth it. God, it was worth it. So I'll probably go do that. You guys have a great 4th of July, and I'll see you. Hold on a second. Kevin Varney, I know who you are. Hey, I remember you, brother. You may not remember me. But I know who you are. Hey, congratulations on 5 years clean. Awesome, Kevin. I remember you, man. You may not remember me, but okay, cool. Well, hey, look, man, I'm really happy. I know who you are. I know that you were a part of those recovery houses. Find me over on social media. Dylan, you're in here. Repost or get my Discord link in the chat for this guy, and also I'll put in my @Paul Mountaineer. For those who listen to this on podcasts, I'm just ripping with the chat right now, obviously, and if you want to enter, to get involved with me in some way, shape, or form, definitely do that. @Paul Mountaineer, we're on X, or if you're here over on YouTube, you can always, if you don't have X, you can find me at my Discord, which I don't know if Dylan, he's on X, so he might not be able to repost the Discord link, but let me see if I can do it really quick. So let's see, open Discord. I'm going to try really quick here. All right. So let's see. It's kind of different on desktop than it is on the phone. So it's kind of hard to find where the share button is. Let's see. Well, I'm not seeing it right away. I'm sure it's probably something I'm just overlooking. But at the end of the day, find me over on X for now, or just keep following along with the stream here. And I'll just put my Discord link. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put the Discord link in the chat after the video. So if you're listening to this on YouTube or watching this after the fact or whenever, just look down in the comments. I'll have the Discord link for you there at some point, and I'll pin it to the top. That way you can get in the Discord, because we're doing a lot of cool stuff in there too. Kevin's already in the Discord. Great. Okay, man. Well, hit me up over there, brother. All right, guys. I will see you on the next one. Thanks for joining in Locked On West Virginia, and we'll talk to you later tonight or tomorrow. Thank you to all everybody that obviously served in our military, and we're grateful for Independence Day. Can't be more grateful. See you later, guys.